Hey, Shalom Akim. First foremost, give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rachak with us. The honors under the elders Apostle Great Millstone, the elders Great Millstone, and of course, peace and blessings under the hopeful elect, the sincere servants of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, serving with truth and sincerity. Yes, from the brother Chayaba from ZMS Plain Temples Camp. Come back with another lesson to his spirit. So this lesson will be based off of this article from nationalnews.com. which is entitled, it says, Meta plans 8,000 job cuts in May, with further layoffs expected later this year. And hey, of course, there's a lot of things happening within privacy as we speak. Scriptures go on to Matthew chapter 24. How, there's going to be wars, rumors of wars, famines, pestilences, earthquakes, in diverse places. Also, again, we go out all throughout the scriptures. Again, how many things are happening as we speak. Again, as we're linking up the current events onto what's in the scriptures. We already know that the civil war, of course, of the U.S. is coming very, very soon. As the scriptures say, kingdom against kingdom. Isaiah chapter 19 goes into how there's going to be Egyptian against Egyptian. So again, it's just all chaos is about to be ready to break out very, very soon. So the other thing also is that there's going to be job cuts. The scriptures say how there's going to be no work in Egypt. So that's also prophesied as well. And linking things up onto the current events, especially with this new this UBI system that's already being set up, and it's already being talked about. And we can 100% see it coming into play, which again is prophecy, how there's going to be no work in Egypt. It says Meta plans 8,000 job cuts in May, with further layoffs expected later this year. Yeah, so job cuts are of course, they keep on increasing exponentially. It says introduction, Meta Platforms Inc. plans to reduce its global workforce by approximately 10%, eliminating nearly 8,000 jobs, with the first wave of layoffs set for May 20, according to a report from Reuters on Friday, April 17, 2026. The company's stock rose nearly 2% following the report. Further workforce reductions are expected in the second half of the year, although the exact scale and timing remain undetermined. Sources told Reuters that the plans could be adjusted based on the state of the company's artificial intelligence capabilities. So it says Meta had approximately 79,000 employees globally as of December 31st, according to company filings. A Meta spokesperson previously characterized an earlier Reuters report about potential 20% workforce cuts as a speculative report about theoretical approaches. The impending cuts represent a significant escalation of a strategic pivot toward AI that is reshaping the tech industry's employment landscape. Yeah, so again, as AI is increasing, getting more powerful, obviously these companies are having less need for human-based work and employment. Let's get real quick. This is Isaiah 19 and 15. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Exactly. So this is already prophecy that there's going to be no work for Egypt. It says which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Again, so that's going to be one of the curses of Egypt, which is modern day Egypt, of course, is America. Scriptures say how Babylon the Great, within Revelation chapter 14, is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. So this place is spiritually Sodom and Egypt. It says, in that day shall Egypt be like unto woman, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord Yahweh of hosts, which he shaketh over it. Yeah, because the Lord's going to bring many things. It says, and the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. Everyone that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid of himself, because of the counsel of the Lord Yahweh of hosts, which he hath determined against it. Exactly. So the Lord's, again, bringing many things against Babylon the Great, again, which is America, the modern day Egypt. This is going to be just reference Matthew chapter 24, how it goes into, wars, rumors, wars, famines, pestilences, earthquakes in diverse places. Scripture also go into what sedition, also again, kingdom against kingdom. So all of this is going to come, all of this is coming as we speak. But hey, it's only going to increase. You got one thing happening, and then you got the other thing happening, and then you got this thing happening, and you got all of them combined happening, and then again everything it obviously, hey, ultimately it's a hand of Yahweh Bashim Yahshai. Going back to the article, it says Meta announces a major workforce reduction. The social media giant will begin notifying employees of the job cuts May 20, according to the report. The planned reduction of 8,000 positions constitutes roughly 10% of its total workforce. This initial round is reportedly part of a broader restructuring that could see additional layoffs later in 2026. Executives have not yet finalized the scope or timing of these subsequent cuts. Yeah, and ultimately, again, one thing, this should be putting joy into us, knowing that Babylon the Great is falling, but also this shouldn't be putting fear into us. Again, we know all of these things. Hey, ultimately, we know Babylon the Great's time is very, very short. So, and ultimately, this is all prophecy that is expected. But hey, ultimately, this is for the heathen to worry about, because you got people, my job, this and that. And ultimately, this is for the heathen to worry about. The scriptures say how the elect shall be without care, and how the Lord will take care of his servants. So, we don't read this with fear, or at least we shouldn't be reading this with fear, knowing that Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, of course, will protect his elect. Yeah, anyways, in the very, very near future, we're going to have to leave everything behind. Again, once the SMOTB is mandated, which, as the other Apostle Har says, is months away. Could be 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. The point is that it's months away. So anyways, we got to be prepared, to leave all this behind. This is Proverbs 22:3. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. Yeah, so ultimately we're foreseeing the evil. And how we hiding ourselves? We were hiding ourselves in the Lord. Ultimately, the scriptures say how the righteous man, or basically how the righteous runneth, or what the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and are safe. So ultimately, the Lord is our safety and our refuge. It says, but the simple pass on and are punished. Yeah, because the simple aren't paying attention to what's happening right now in end time prophecy. They're hoping that things get better, which things aren't going to get better. So we foresee the evil, knowing that things are going to get worse. And ultimately, Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, prepares us. Ultimately, the most important thing is that we're spiritually and mentally prepared. Yeah, ultimately, again, these things are happening right now as we speak, these job cuts. So, and, technically, obviously, all hell hasn't broken loose yet. So, Yahweh Bashim Yahshai is always going to keep his elect sustained. The scriptures say how, again, the elect won't be, how, never have I seen the righteous begging for bread. So ultimately, Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, again, will protect his elect. Throughout these times, again, the Lord's blessing us with wisdom, knowledge, understanding. Where we're able to navigate, wisely. To read again, it says Proverbs chapter 22:3. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Yeah, so again, we know what's happening ultimately. Again, the Lord's giving us a wisdom to know how to walk within these times, even as things are quickly getting worse in Babylon the Great. And again, it's going to come to a point where the MOTB is mandated. You won't be able to buy or sell, have a job, or do whatever unless you have the MOTB. So, hey, ultimately, again, we're spiritually and mentally departed from this place, knowing that's not our rest. But again, we still have to sustain, meaning, you obviously, we're going to have to play things smart and adapt as, this thing obviously gets worse. But again, we don't worry, as the scriptures say. Again, the elect shall be without worry. Because again, Yahweh Bashim Yashai is protecting us and, giving us what we need at the end of the day. So again, we're already commanded not to worry, and ultimately to be focused on what we're supposed to be focused on, which is what the word, the truth, ultimately what, these prophecies coming to pass. And, Yahushua make, obviously what coming back to make his return. And, ultimately doing this work as commanded of us, doing the Lord's commandments, doing what he said to do. As scriptures say, pray without ceasing. Ultimately, doing the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahshai. That's what's important. But I believe it's a point. Lord's you brothers out there edified. Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, Bashim Kakurach Brakathum. Shalom.